Hey everybody, it's Rob here. Like I mentioned in my previous videos, I've been playing and testing a pre-launch version of Diablo 4, and I have taken an in-depth look at the Barbarian class here in particular. I've reached the end game. I had a blast, so much fun doing the Helltide, the Whispers, the Nightmare dungeons. So many activities to do, fighting all kinds of bosses, and it's just amazing overall. I played my Barbarian to the max level of 100. You can see here in this video I'm 99. I did that so I could like test the journey and basically enjoy the game on a true endgame character, as well as test various builds, of which there will be a lot of videos coming and talking about the different advantages and different build variations that the Barbarian class offers in D4. Spoiler alert, there are a lot of them. And it took me about 70 hours to reach this level 100. But I did so like testing a lot of mechanics, checking out the meta strats, checking exactly how the experience mechanics and how experience works in this game, and playing somewhat unoptimized, at least during the start. Towards the end here, and this is the footage I will show, I think I was pretty efficient. You know, in the end, there's always stuff to improve, but I felt I found something like that worked pretty good. And I want to share some of it with all of you today, so you guys can have an awesome launch experience when the game launches in a few days, basically. So in the background, we have footage here of the final moment. You can see I'm only missing like two-ish, 1 3/4 bars here, and the last level takes quite some XP. We will get into all of that. So yeah, let me just like show you the footage here and walk you along what I've been doing and what's going on basically. So this is my Barbarian. First of all, I'm drinking a potion because they give you bonus experience. These elixirs, they give, I think, 5% additive. So it's pretty decent. So this is a Nightmare dungeon. And it has a specific like tier that you want to farm basically, because in Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, like also in Diablo 2, your character level is always compared to the monster level. And you can see these monsters here, when I find another one, they are level 108. And notice like I'm about 10 levels lower than them. And because these monsters are higher level than me, I'm getting an XP bonus killing them, because they are hard to kill. Their armor scaling, basically I deal less damage to them, but I also take more damage because I need higher armor to basically tank the damage of the high level. But as these monsters are so hard, the game rewards you with some extra XP. And from my testing, this extra XP is about 25% on like 4 to 5 level difference. So if you are like 4 to 5 levels lower than the monster, you get a very nice bonus up until then. And then the XP even keeps scaling up by a certain linear amount, basically into, you know, into the very end game where monsters are like level 150 on Nightmare Dungeon 100. But you always got to consider the kill speed. Like it will take you a lot longer to kill those monsters. So you kind of want to find, you know, the sweet spot in the middle where you can basically kill the monsters very efficiently, very fast, but not fight like too difficult monsters, so the kill speed doesn't suffer, but also don't fight too easy monsters so the XP bonus don't suffer. And I found to be, for my build, at least on the high levels, that sweet spot to be about 10 levels. You know, like it doesn't really matter if it's like +1 or -1. It's really whatever. And in order to farm this XP, or in order to get this monster levels, like the only reliable place I found was the Nightmare Dungeons, because this Nightmare Dungeon basically allows you to choose which Nightmare Dungeon tier you want to do if you have the appropriate keys and the appropriate materials to craft those keys. And obviously the power to clear them efficiently as well. And you can see here, I'm using a build that is basically completely based around speed and AoE damage, which is the Whirlwind Barbarian, one of the strongest Barbarian builds. I will have the full build explanation video like linked in the description below, so if you want to check that out. I will also provide a short overview here towards the end. But yeah, so you basically play like a Nightmare Dungeon that's about 10 tiers higher than your current character, if you can do it very fast. And you can see here, like I'm basically like crushing this content, and I chose Obviously, you can't always choose your dungeon because you have to have the key, and the key is always of a certain dungeon. But this dungeon here, I stacked up a couple keys during my farming session. And this dungeon here in particular, you can see with all these spiders. And when you kill them, they split into even more spiders. And my build scales with amount of targets. Like the more targets there are, the more damage I basically do. And also the more targets there are, the more monsters you kill and the more XP and items you get. So this dungeon in particular is very, very strong and effective to, you know, get this all these requirements basically. Because you have like rather easy objectives and you have a lot of monsters. But the only downside of this dungeon you can see here is the boss fight. I mean, obviously I killed the boss very fast, but the boss fight is just like not that much XP per hour. Like here, like all this time I'm spending here, I'm not really gaining much XP. But you can see I got about like, I don't know, like 5% of my level during this run or something. And the run like only took 2 minutes or something. Like you definitely want to do them fast if you have the keys. So I loot the stuff. I also had to kill some stragglers. Sometimes you have to wait. You update your upgrade your glyphs. Now I'm porting back to town, and now comes a pretty trick that saved me a lot of time, because whenever you open Nightmare Dungeon, you have to walk there. But if you already did a Nightmare Dungeon that has the same key, so Blind Rose is this dungeon, and I have 2 more keys, so I can just now open another key and then use my existing town portal to not only reset the dungeon by opening the key, but also to be ported into the entrance of the dungeon right away. So you can see me here. I'm spawning in a dungeon again. It's a new key. It's the same tier, similar tier, and yeah, the monsters are refreshed. I'm quickly sorting out my inventory because, you know, selling or salvaging your loot, like it's all an XP loss in the end. So if you care for XP, you know, you're basically always going, like you're never in town. Town is lava, like some streamers would say. So yeah, here I am in the next dungeon, and you see here I'm always trying to accumulate the damage and releasing it here, this fire explosion, releasing it here on the targets. It's hitting for a couple million, and boom, it's killing them. This is due to a mechanic on my Gore unique bracers that basically allows me to accumulate the damage while I whirlwind and then release it in a fire explosion whenever I stop whirlwinding. And this is like the little explosions that you see every now and then when I release it. And you see it's hitting for, like, you know, I've been spinning on like 100 spiders and it's hitting for like, see here, like 700 million. I've seen hits in the billions. So it is just a very, very strong item. And obviously, you are never guaranteed to get this on your journey to 100. The whirlwind build works without it as well, but obviously it's nowhere near as strong. So this item is pretty important. But whirlwind works without it, and there's also other builds that evolve around like bleed that are very efficient. Like here, I'm proccing bleed on everything as well, and the bracers are even more damage than the bleeds, but the bleeds themselves would be strong enough to kill this content almost as fast, basically. As you can see, even when I'm not making the explosion, I basically kill everything anyways. I mean, right now I have this arrow shrine, and it makes everything like so much faster. So the one thing I really like here about the shrines is that they give you even more movement speed that you otherwise wouldn't have. So you're getting even more movement speed. So while you watch the footage here, like I'm going to be running this dungeon, I think, a couple times before I level up. I'm just quickly going to explain to you some of the further mechanics. So we talked about this elixir buff down here, and it gives us 5% additional XP, which seems to be additive with the World Tier 4 experience multiplier of 200%. So in reality, you're only getting 5% added on top of the 200%. So, you know, instead of 200% bonus XP, you get 205% bonus XP, and that's way less than a 5% bonus in the end, multiplicatively. So like the elixirs is good to have, but it's not really like a big a deal. And the same actually goes for the multiplayer buff, because I've heard like a lot of people say that it's unfair that you also get an extra buff when you're in the party. But this buff, guys, is not really like that significant. It basically is another 10% additive on top of this 205% if you drink an elixir. So in the end, it's something like 2% more XP that you get in a party from the multiplier. But obviously, like party play has other big advantages. And one advantage is, for example, like you could chain way more of these keys, right? Because every player has the chance to find these Nightmare Dungeon keys. And maybe I can run this dungeon instead of 3 times. I can run it, 3 times 4, 12 times in a row. So one thing I do obviously is still like look at the legendaries and stuff, even though I'm like farming pretty end game here. So I'm sorting them by item power. I'm only looking at the highest item power, in particularly on the weapons and on the armor pieces. So I can like skim through them pretty quickly. And maybe some of you know it from Diablo 3. Like if you're looking at bracers in Diablo 3 and you see on the bracers in Diablo 3, you always need like element damage and crit. And a lot of experienced players, they instantly see, they need to look at the bracer for like a couple milliseconds, a couple frames, and then they realize, well, this bracer is not good. And, in Diablo 4, it will take some time, but through like quite some hours of playtime here, I already get close to there. Like, I don't need to look at the item as long to understand if it's good or not. And, as the player base and everybody, myself included, learns more and more about the game, this will become even faster, obviously, because town time, in terms of efficiency at least, if that's what you care about, if that's where you get your fun, and that's the case for me, is really important to keep to a minimum if you want to play efficiently. And for me, this is a big chunk of the fun of the game. Like I really like the game when I get to play like as effectively as possible. Basically, that's where I get most of my enjoyment. But in the end, obviously, like doing this in a group will still be better, of course, because you have certain advantages. But you can see me here like skimming through this dungeon. The clear times are insane. Like doing this in like 2-3 minutes each run is pretty good, at least when I compare it to what I did in the start from like level 70 to level 80 or something. Like here I'm like really strong, and I can even ignore most mechanics. You see this like lightning storm here that procs, like I can completely ignore it because my character is so strong. Finding a unique here, by the way. My character is so strong that I have enough toughness to just tank the mechanic, and I don't even need to dodge it anymore. And obviously that also contributes to the XP gain. Like on level, when I was level 80, like I had to stand in this bubble like I'm doing here. I had to always go back for it, but now I can, in most cases, just ignore it. And like there I was looting, so I stayed in, why not? But like if it happens while I'm in a run, I don't have to backtrack, I don't have to stay there and wait in the bubble for 5 seconds until the lightning comes from the sky. No, I can just keep going, slay monsters, and get the XP. You notice here we get pretty close. The XP required is, I think, 22 million. If I hover it again. I have a list for you in a second. I compiled a whole table of XP. Okay, and there it is, level 100. Boom, another Paragon point. Now it says 0 XP, and we can't get any more. I can get another crit damage node. I'm gonna quickly kill the boss. And there we have it, guys. I mean, like I said, this was only like 15-20% of the level, so but you get the idea of like the last level, like it's not like grinding from 98 to 99. It's quite a bit faster if you do know what you're doing, basically. And here I'm sorting my items again real quick, upgrading my gloves basically. And I'm going to town and showing you a quick overview. Then we can go into some numbers right here. So again, this is the Whirlwind Barbarian guide, the Whirlwind Barbarian build, and just hovering the items here real quick, you can see shout synergies, and then this is the bracer I was talking about that creates this explosion and allows you to accumulate damage and essentially one-shot the elites. Really strong. This wasn't like fully optimized here. I think in my Whirlwind build, which is linked in the description, I was already more optimized in this because I've played a couple, like 10-20 hours on level 100 at that point. So I even min-maxed more, and there is still way more to min-max. Like I'm far from like completely done with the guide, with the build, especially on the Paragon boards. Like there's always stuff to optimize, always stuff to min-max. But you can see here some of the essentials is the crit chance and the crit damage, and you can see both of it is very high, and the weapon gives you even more crit chance on Whirlwind. And these are like some fantastic numbers, and you can get them even higher. I have not found the grandfather weapon, which was data mined by some websites, and essentially that one reads that it gives you another ×2 multiplier, or up to ×2 multiplier on your crit damage. So if that's true, the Barbarian can probably reach like 1,000 crit damage. That would be incredible. But I have not found this weapon yet. So same for the Harlequin's Crest, the Shaco. I've also not found it all the way until level 100. So those items are rare, and I like it. Like that's really cool. Like to have these like high end game items to hunt for. Because the way is the goal, guys. You want to like enjoy the way, and that's for me where a lot of the fun comes from. And then we have the skill tree, Whirlwind, with the bleed rune here, really strong. 3 shouts, Iron Skin. I was still using Iron Skin here. You might be able to switch this around, but I liked it just as like the oh shit button, and also to get Barrier to enable even more damage bonuses here. And in higher dungeons, you would definitely need the added toughness. So here, lots of movement speed, lots of crit chance, 1 point in hamstring, like I always recommend. Crit damage, Wrath of the Berserk, and Unbridled Rage. Paragon tree, just real quick, starter board. We have close damage. We have here on Reps and Fast, we have the Hunter Kill on the left, elite damage. We have the Marshal, Warbringer to get Fortify. This is the crit damage one, like you saw. I have like 40 crit chance, and it's even more with the Whirlwind crit chance aspect when you channel it up to 100%, and this gives you 200 crit damage extra. And damage roll fortified, you will always be fortified with the Warbringer. And here we have the vulnerable damage, the exploit. It's potentially the best glyph in the game because it makes everything vulnerable. In speed farming content, the vulnerable lasts for 3 seconds. You saw it. It's more than enough to kill all of them. So there we go. And then the final tree here is I don't know why the video is a bit, apologize for that. Like there's one glyph missing here. Let me see if, there it fixes itself. So there's one glyph missing here because I have not unlocked like all the renown yet. Like I have like 20 Paragon points to gain, so I can populate another glyph, and it's gonna be this one. Where you deal more damage when you're healthy. Like with all my fortify, with all my barriers, I can stay healthy, which is about 80% life, I think, for a very like constant time. So it's pretty good. Yeah, that has been the gameplay video. I promised you. So while I was leveling, I recorded almost all the XP numbers from like the beginning. And here is a short overview. So you see the level here on the left side. This is like the character level. Then you see the XP required for the next level. Then you see the increase. And it's not completely like linear or something. It's going to scale. And sometimes there are like bigger jumps. I think there's like a huge jump at here. At level 70, like the XP goes from like 4 million for one level, from 69 to 70. To like 3.5 million more, to like almost 8 million per level. So it's starting out like very slowly, like in the tens of thousands, and then it's skyrocketing into like the double-digit million number. And the final XP number that you need is like 22 million. And I managed to farm in solo about in the end game, like when my character was optimized, I could farm about 10 to 12 million an hour. I think that number is already pretty good, but it took quite a while to get there, guys. So you, like in the lower levels, like on 70, man, like I think you'll be happy to, to get like 5 million an hour or so, like especially on the lower tiers where you don't have the world tiers, where you don't have the XP bonuses and such. It's gonna take like significantly longer. But yeah, overall, I think I did this solo in about 70 hours. And there was a lot of learning in there, a lot of like trying to optimize how it's gonna go and what I'm doing, and recording at certain levels and testing mechanics and stuff. I think in the end, like for the launch, I'm expecting like in a group, you can do it in like probably like 55 hours-ish, maybe 50 even. We'll see how it's gonna go with the service and stuff. I'm definitely planning on, like blasting and going for like an early level 100, just because that's also, in my opinion, the best way to power up your character. Like obviously there's no leaderboard or anything. I just like to do it because it's fun to me. Like I basically like to play efficiently, and I just want to like level up my character and get it to like max level and very powerful as soon as you can, because that's where the fun comes from me. And I know a lot of you guys like to see that as well, and that's what I'll be focusing on. And I'll be playing in a group, so these numbers they might get even faster. Like we'll see, and I think towards like season 1 or something, we're gonna see if they don't change much. We're gonna see like the sub 50 hours, like level 100 for sure. And then maybe at some point they will have the leaderboards, but then it's also going to be a more fair race, because I understand now it's definitely like a bit of unfair advantage, obviously, that some of the people that either played the end game beta or that played like the closed betas or like, you know, any of the further tests aside from the public ones. So the race is definitely a bit tainted here in the end, but I'm still gonna have a lot of fun, guys. And yeah, I have a lot more videos coming, like where this is in a similar niche here, and I'm gonna be posting a lot. So if you enjoyed and you got some valuable information out of it, make sure you leave a comment or leave a like, subscribe, whatever you want. And yeah, I have a lot more stuff coming over the next days. I'll see you all soon. Rob, over and out. Bye bye.